Alright guys, what's going on? This is the real great Saz Warrior, which you wouldn't be able to tell anything at all based on the appearance of this box, as it looks like it's just some sort of Chinese snack or something. Even on the box here saying Hawthorne cake, but this is actually the 1/100 scale upscaled RG Sazabi kit here basically, and I wanted to check it out for two reasons. One, just because of this very unique box, and we got some of them in here at USA Gundam Store and the boxes were damaged. As you can see, this one is a little bit, so I thought, all right, I'll snag one of the damaged ones, build it up, because the main question that I'm interested in with this, as you can see, our runners there, which we'll get to in just a moment, and I'll explain as we're taking a look through the manual here. But people often ask which I recommend between the Master Grade Sazabi Ver.Ka and the Real Grade Sazabi, and I always tell people that both kits are great with some pros and cons. The main pro with the Sazabi Ver.Ka is that it's a very detailed construction. The layered frame and armor and movable armor parts are all really cool. The size is very impressive with it being in 1/100 scale. But the main downside to the Sazabi Ver.Ka Master Grade kit is that because of its size and weight, it's not able to be as nicely posed, I think. Most of the time, you know, think about any time you've ever seen a Sazabi Ver.Ka, it's usually just standing there just because it's big and heavy to get up on an action base or in any kind of like action pose. So the main good side about the Real Grade is that you do have a very complex construction in 1/44 scale, but because it's in 1/44 scale, it's smaller and lighter and therefore much easier to put on an action base and pose. So if you want a kit that's just going to be big and impressive looking, go for the Master Grade Ver.Ka. If you want a kit that has a lot more posability options, then go for the Real Grade. Personally, between the two, all things considered, I actually prefer the Real Grade. There are also, of course, design differences between the two versions, and I like the design of the Real Grade as well. But based on all of that, my main question that I have for this kit is it still going to maintain that posability that I enjoy of the Real Grade, with this being an upscaled Real Grade, but in 1/100 scale, is it able to kind of bridge that gap? And that's what we're going to find out here for today's video. So as we've seen in a past review, taking a look at the upscaled Zeong, not only was it larger and scaled from 1/44 scale up to 1/100 scale, for the Zeong there, scaled up from the RG, but they did also add a bit more color separation, adding some more like silver details, and obviously the hands of the Zeong were then color separated parts, different from the actual Real Grade kit, from the original Real Grade kit. So I don't know if we can expect to see any of that this time around. Basically everything that I'm seeing here so far seems like it's unchanged. That said, here for these very bright fluorescent parts, which we've got two runners of these, for the effect parts, checking these with the UV light, they don't I mean, they light up just because they're like a clear fluorescent plastic. So, I mean, it's not like a ton, but then we do also have a completely clear set of beam effect parts, which is great too, because then if you wanted to paint these in whatever clear color you want, you've got that. So that's nice. But as far as any additional color separation that is new, unique to this version of the kit, that is yet to be seen. I don't believe that we have any of that here with this, but we'll find out. But I will say, aside from those clear parts, the effect parts, everything else does seem to be molded in pretty much the same color here. Once again, we do have a couple of different shades of red, it looks like, with these runners here, for example, those being in the same shade, and this color here you can see is a little bit of a richer red color, whereas this is like slightly desaturated. So we've got the multi-tone reds going on there, got our black fuel tank parts, and yeah, I was also just kind of surprised that the box wasn't bigger. I mean, as you can see, it's a pretty big box, but I was surprised that it wasn't larger than it already is. There's our yellow-orange parts there for some of the accents. And last couple of bits here, just some more black parts. From what I can tell, just straight away, oh, actually, this is interesting. This is what would have been the B runner or the multi-injected runner there for the like pre-molded frame parts from the original RG, which would have been in different colors. I don't remember these being all black, the original kit. I believe it was like two different shades of gray. So a little bit different color there for that runner, it looks like. And I'll have to look back again closely at the Real Grade. This runner also seems to be a little bit different, I think. Again, I'll come back and tell you guys more in the review, but like this part for the front of the shield And then maybe the weapon is a little bit different too. Again, I'll have to go back and check, but that is something that we'll take a look at. That's everything for the contents of the box. You guys saw I had stickers, water slides, the instruction manual is all pretty straightforward. There's no like photographs of the kit or anything like that. That's for obvious reasons. But yeah, like I said, the main thing that I'm going to be looking at is this able to do everything that the real grade can do, but in 1/100 scale. So let's go ahead and get it all built up and we'll find out. All right, so here it is all put together, and being a fan of the design of this one, it is really cool to see it in this much larger scale. Just as far as the building process goes, kits like this, people always ask like, how was the build process? How was the fit and everything? The fit, everything was very good. There's a couple of parts here and there that were like a little bit tight, but really not all that bad at all. Very minimal effort required for that. Overall, I think the fit is very good. I did find there to be a little bit excess flash on the pre-molded joint parts, what would be like the B runner, which is basically just the parts for in the wrists, the shoulder connection parts, and then in the hips, most of which is all not really visible at all on the kit, so it really kind of doesn't matter. But if you did want to go in and just kind of do a little bit of extra sanding just to get rid of the extra flash on a couple of those parts, that's really kind of about it though. Overall, as you can see, just the finish looks really nice in this kind of more satin finish that we have to the plastic. But let's go ahead and take a look at our accessories here, and then we'll talk some more about the kit. And so of course we've got our fixed pose hand options here. You've got the set of closed fists that are there on the kit. We've got our weapon holding hands here for the left and the right side. These are basically going to be for the beam sabers or the beam axe. And one thing about the hands too is that they do have this joint here on the weapon holding hands here. Anyway, the closed fist hands do not have this, but on the weapon holding hands all have an extra joint here in the wrist as well, which will be helpful. Our other weapon holding hand here is going to be a trigger finger hand for the right side only. This one also has that joint in the wrist there. But then we do also have a set of open hands here, and these ones do not have the jointed wrist, but some really nice detail on the inside, basically being like a weapon support hand here for the left side to hold up the rifle. Not that you're going to have any weight issues with it because it is large, but it's really not all that heavy. You have that nice color separation of that red bit with these red bits that kind of poke out through the side as well. This does actually move here. There's pump action there on that. The handle does also move up and down a little bit there, so you can adjust the angle of that. You can see there's that gap in the handle where that's going to plug into our trigger finger hand for a nice solid grip on that. There is a sticker here. This is the only sticker that I put on this from the sticker sheet. Is just the one for the green kind of camera there on the front of the beam shotgun, but otherwise looks good there, all in black. You got all that nice detail on it. All the seam lines are just hidden as just panel line details on there. That said, you will have some mold lines like this nasty mold line kind of going through the middle of that gray part right there that you're going to want to sand out. And then we've got our shield here, really nice design. I like the vents on the front of the shield and around on the back side. This is going to plug into the back of the arm there, and then you can kind of rotate this around over onto the side of the arm by just kind of rotating that connection bit. This connection part can also slide up and down a bit here as well, so you can adjust kind of the height of the shield as it's attached onto the back of the arm. You have these missile parts down here, and then the beam axe is there stored in the back side of the shield. If we remove the missiles from the bottom there, you can actually reposition the axe here to this lower position there like that, and then have your beam effects out the bottom. So again, we've got two different types of beam effects for this shorter type, which again, like with the real grade, are just reused from the Sinanju. So unfortunately, they have this weird cutout here at the bottom, and I wish that they would have fixed this for this version. It's just a small fix they need to make in the design of that, not to have that little bit at the bottom there, but that's just from these being leftover beam effect parts from the Sinanju. So again, unfortunate. So you've got that shorter type and then the longer type that have this much longer extended bit out of there. And so these are going to be adding a lot of weight to an already kind of heavy shield. And then another thing that I will warn you guys about is in removing the nub, there's a nub near the tip of this. In removing that nub, I accidentally snapped off the tip of one of these longer beam effect parts, so just be careful with that. Lastly then, our beam sabers. So here they are with the handles with the beam effect parts for the beam saber blades. Those look really nice. The kind of dummy bits of the beam saber handles are here in the arm, because technically these are meant to be stored in the arm, but those are just like just the front part of the beam saber handle basically. And you can see these also have the hole in the handle, and then the beam axe has that as well to be able to plug into the hand for a nice solid grip on those parts. I said lastly, but actually we do have another very important accessory here, which is going to be our adapter for an action base. The way this is going to fit onto an action base, in the manual it shows it connecting onto the top of a newer action base here like this. Now that worked for the 144 scale version of this, but for the 1/100 scale version, it doesn't fit at all. But I did find a way around that. So if you're using a 1/100 scale action base here, pardon my dusty action base 13 here, add in our adapter piece here like this, and then a square adapter piece onto the top of that, and then add this onto the top of that. It's still a little bit loose. It's not a perfect fit on there, but that'll be kind of, I think, the best option as far as I can tell for holding that up onto a action base for 1/100 scale kits. And I suppose really lastly, the funnels do also count as an accessory as well. So there are 6 of these up in the backpack there, of course, and they work the same as with the RG, and that when you push in the end here, kind of splays out the size of the funnels there a bit, and the funnel tip, the barrel will stick out a little bit there as well, and you can kind of just close it back up there like that. So just to show you that again, that pops out there like that, and you could use this with some kind of adapter, because again, this, I wish that they would have resized this for this version. This is meant to be used with a 3mm type of peg, but as it stands here, you can see, like for example, the 144 scale version would have fit onto here. The 100 scale version now has a much larger hole, and you're gonna have to use some kind of adapter, or probably you're gonna have to make your own adapters there for that using some plastic rod or something. So that is kind of one unfortunate downside to this. Now, we don't have any included funnel effect parts with this. That definitely is one way that they kind of could have got around this issue, by including some funnel effect parts that are equally scaled up, so that at least we have effect parts going from the backpack to the funnels to have it so like the funnels are launching out. Now, I'm not sure if the funnel effect parts for the master grade Ver.Ka / the Nightingale, that funnel effect part set, will work with this. I don't believe so, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Otherwise, yeah, just to talk a little bit more about the kit here, that is one thing that it does also disappoint me a little bit, is that they didn't really take the opportunity to, not necessarily that anything needed to be fixed, but to upgrade anything. Like we saw with the upscaled RG Xeon kit, they did add a little bit of color separation. They color separated the hands in that kit, which is obviously not really necessary for this one. I'm sure some people probably would have preferred the addition of the fully articulated master grade hands. You guys know that I'm not a big fan of those, so I'm perfectly fine with these just fixed posed hands here. But like I said, that's just kind of one of the number of opportunities that I've mentioned where there was room for, you know, very minor things to just improve on the kit if it's going to be upscaled, where basically there was not any changes made. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but just kind of a lost opportunity. So we've got all the same gimmicks, like the armor panels opening here, like on the side of the leg, for example. On the front of the leg, this will also kind of extend out and down like that. Some really nice details all around here. You have movement of this part for the back of the foot, which is interesting. Not only that, and then of course the toe as well there, the whole front of the foot. This kit's got a really nice knee bend here, how this kind of black part moves separately from the red part in there in the knee when you bend all that. So really nice details around there. There is also a locking gimmick in the hip joint articulation here as well, to give you kind of an extended range of basically movement in the ab, with it unlocking the waist section, kind of giving you more range to bend the ab section forward. But anyway, another cool aspect about this design is that the middle section of the chest kind of moves separately from the rest of the torso there. And then for the head, definitely another missed opportunity, as you can open up those parts in the head, but it would have been cool to add in some additional like cockpit detail or something inside there, which we just kind of don't really have. As you can see though, those fluorescent green parts though do glow really brightly. And that's what we have up here for the camera in the head though, but because it's kind of completely surrounded there, it's not really able to catch and funnel that light at all. But as you can see, the visor here, there's no LEDs on or anything. I don't have a UV light shining on it, just kind of as you guys are seeing it, it glows quite brightly like that, just straight out of the box without doing anything else to it. And then even when that's closed up, it's quite visible. One of the other cool gimmicks that we have here with this, going around to the back skirt, I like this with these parts of the back skirt being able to extend out to the side there like so. And then a couple of other smaller armor moving gimmick parts is this part here on the side of the waist that extends out there a little bit there like that. Up here at the shoulder, this part extends a little bit there like that, kind of exposing a little bit of the detail up inside that shoulder there, for example. As we wrap up the review here, taking a look at the kit in a few different poses, we're going to come back to what was the original impetus for me wanting to check out this kit. What I talked about throughout the unboxing is that I wanted to see how this kit performed in basically being something in between, with it having the size of the Ver.Ka, but the mobility of the RG. And I will say, as far as the kit on its own, it does do that very successfully. The kit is solid, despite this kit being designed to be in 1/44 scale, upscaled to 1/100 scale. It doesn't have any weight issues with it just being able to like hold up the weapons. The joints are all tight enough that the legs aren't too heavy that they droop down, the arms aren't too heavy, even with the heavy shield and the beam effector parts attached onto there. All the limbs can hold up everything. We don't have any weight issues with that. That being said, there is an issue here that they did not address, in that is how to actually put it up onto an action base, because as I just kind of mentioned a minute ago, getting it onto an action base requires the use of like multiple adapters, and even then it's still not a very tight fit, and even then it's going to definitely be weighted to one side or the other. So what really should have been the solution to this was to develop their own just a simple action base that would be strong, sturdy enough to go with this. So if you want to have this up off the ground, which is something that I would definitely see as a highlight of this kit, like I said, just being able to have all that mobility and articulation of the RG and being able to do all these great poses, but then not really being able to have it sturdily up on an action base is a little bit of an issue. So that's not to say that I feel like it's going to break the action base or that it's going to fall off, but it is a little bit wobbly up there, and just because of the weight is not well balanced. And then just Bandai's action bases, even the action bases designed for 1/100 scale kits, still aren't really that strong at being able to hold up kits this big and kind of that have a lot of weight to one side or the other. So there's definitely some pros and cons to consider. I think at the end of the day, I'm still going to stick with the real grade as being my favorite version of the Sazabi. I still prefer this in just the original 1/44 scale real grade kit, I think. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about this? Is this one that you're wanting to get? I mean, again, like I said, being a big fan of this version of the design of the Sazabi, it is cool to see it in 1/100 scale, and the build itself is great. The kit does fine on its own. It's really just kind of that ability to have it up on an action base safely and securely. That's really kind of making it a little bit of a disappointment there, that they didn't make some minor adjustments to make this more fitted to this size. I think it's kind of a missed opportunity there. But yeah, if you guys want to check out the kit for yourself, you can check the link in the video description to US Gundam Store. We got this kit there on the website, along with the upscaled Zeong I was talking about earlier as well, and then lots of other great kits there on the site, as well as paints, tools, supplies, all that good stuff. Check that out. And as always, guys, really appreciate your support, leaving a like, making sure that you're subscribed. It really helps out a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Until next time, hope y'all are doing well. See y'all later. Bye, guys.